So project today is going to be painting these lockers, the forward lockers up here. And the reason for that is once they are done, I can finally start running some electrical wiring, plumbing, that kind of stuff. Because a lot of those mechanical items are going to be running through those areas, through those bulkheads there. So I do need to get that all prepped for this winter when those types of projects are going to be going. Done. 2, and now on to 3.
2 weeks ago, Matt started work in this area to be able to equalize our 2 75-gallon water tanks, drilling holes out on each side and fitting valves. Since then, he's also glassed in a piece of honeycomb, which will keep the hose and valves safe from other objects in the locker.
In this center area, I'm only doing some areas with the paint. So just in this area right here, pretty much, because our shelf, this is where the windlass is going to go. Anchor chain will come through right about here. Windlass will sit right here. I do need to add an additional support here, so there's a little bit more fiberglass work that needs to be done in this area. And so I'm not going to paint that until that's actually completed. But the rest of it, pretty much all set, and then I can start putting in those conduit pieces for the mechanical stuff. So I can start putting in the water pipes, the electrical, that kind of stuff to this area.
It is finally that time again for priming. And well, I was going to say, bulkhead 6 here on the port side has gotten 2, maybe 3 rounds already. So we're hoping that this is the last before we can go to the next round of primer. But the head here has only been hit 1 time, and very evident by the fact that not only is the fairing compound still under there, you can still see fiberglass where we've sanded through. So we've tried our best to ferret out not to need much touching up after this. And then, well, it's getting dark back here. The areas between bulkhead 5 and the steps, I think this has been hit twice. We've just mixed up 2 containers. It's been stirred up a lot now, but 48, so we did, since it's a 1-to-1 part, did 24 and then another 24. So we have a decent amount ready to go, but the only problem is we're just lifting this and not much left at all. So this better get us through everything that we need to get through today. Of course, we started with a beautiful sunny morning, came in after lunch, beautiful sunny. It kind of looks like we're about to get some rain here in a second. So hopefully the humidity doesn't bother us too much and doesn't keep it from curing, but I think it'll be okay. I feel like we've worked in this kind of weather before. So at least it's not the rain pouring on us, we're doing chill coat. It's getting to be that time of year. The sun is setting earlier in the day, and that means 2 things for us. Not only are we spending a few hours working in the dark now, but the temperatures inside the tent are plummeting. Not just uncomfortable for us, but a number of our products require a minimum temperature to cure. Thankfully, we have the Anker Solix F2000 with its 2400 watts to power us through these cold and dark nights. Its 12 ports include 4 AC, 1 TT30RV, 3 USB-C and 2 USB-A ports, as well as 2 car outlets. So once the sun goes down, it lets me power our space heater as well as a spotlight to keep me working as late as I'd like. Or when I leave to make dinner, Matt can take over. It's also great for outdoor off-grid living, especially when you need your coffee no matter where you are. Inside your home, it can handle your refrigerator, microwave, computers, and 99% of your appliances. This powerhouse comes in at 67 pounds, so if you're not looking forward to carrying it, there's a retractable handle and wheels, which make for easy transport. Click on the link in our description box below for Black Friday deals. Between now and November 12th, save up to $1,300, and between November 17th through the 27th, save up to $1,500, get free gifts, and enter their lucky draw. Yes, it is another round of fairing, sanding, and priming. We know you don't want to see this. We didn't really want to have to show it to you. But every time we keep thinking, we're so close to finishing this and moving on to the next stage, a week has gone by and we've only taken one small step forward. We actually just had dinner with one of the execs over at Balance Catamarans, and if you think we're crazy for the amount of time we're putting into our finished work, you should hear some of their numbers. Our contact just arrived back in South Africa, but I'm hoping soon that he'll be able to get me some information and footage of what it's like for them to fair out their interiors. It is some very serious business. We promise there will actually be a lot more exciting things to come soon. And to all of those who came to talk to us at the boat shows to give encouragement, or all of you that leave comments that you're happy just to watch us sand and fair each week, we truly appreciate it. One day, we will be past this stage, and all of the hard work will have been worth it. At least with this section aft of the head, it should be our last coat of the All Grip Primer, meaning we can move on to All Quick next, which will be 2 light coats and then paint. After letting it sit overnight, Matt went through with our 3M vacuum 5-inch orbital sander to clean off the large flat surfaces, and then it was up to me to block the smaller areas as well as the corners.
Round 2 of paint in the forward lockers. Finally have a nice warm day that we can do this. Have gone through and scuffed up all the paint. It's a 180 grit over all these surfaces. Getting them prepped again, cleaned up, and now it's time to apply some paint.
It's been about 3 days since we did the primer coat on here, and you can tell surfaces are getting covered in green once more. What I have noticed is this is the tool that I use to try and get the coves, because this corner here gets pretty much the angle that we want, and then it has flat surfaces on each side so that I'm not digging in. But even when I go through and kind of do it like that, I've noticed there seems to be an indent in this space, so I've just decided to go through every single corner and then put a little extra of that Total Fair on the outsides. So hopefully that means it will be smooth. It's really not that hard. And then we can go to All Quick on this surface, which is the really light color we have in that haul.
Okay. Working on reinforcing this edge. This is the anchor locker and where the windlass will sit. So the chain windlass, chain will come through here. There's going to be a pipe in that area. Windlass will sit here and then dumps the chain out down into this area. Big thing is, though, a ton of force can go on the windlass. It's with jerking motions as you're trying to pull in or set chain out, it does take a big load. So I want to make sure that this is a very, very strong shelf. What I did is the cord area, the top surface, and the bottom surface has, I think, 5 layers of 12-ounce glass on it. And then I am putting this edge along here. That's going to help reinforce that back side of it. And then down below, offset, you can kind of see center line is right here because the chain is going to fall right through this area. So I offset this little leg there to help brace that setup. Hopefully that will be enough. I'm going to go through and glass it right now. What we'll end up doing is it's going to be 3 layers of 12-ounce double bias on this side. This will just get 2 because that's just acting as kind of a brace in there. And then once that's all done and cured, I can go through and finally paint the rest of this area and get this prepped for conduit and all that other stuff.
In the master head, we decided it was finally time to get our first coat of high build primer on. We had mostly left these walls alone since spring, so to be honest, we couldn't even remember which parts had been fully faired and which hadn't. But instead of chasing down square inch sections with our trowels to make sure it was all flat, we thought the best way to see how it was coming along was to move forward to the next stage.
So naive and innocent previously as to how much primer we actually have to apply. I seriously thought it was going to be maybe a coat, maybe 2 coats of high build and then surface primer and then ready to go, not realizing all the steps in between that are necessary to get a very, very good finish. Shockingly, this is our first coat of high build and I think it's done a really, really good job. So today what I'm going to go through is sand it and prep it for the next layer, the next coat, and to kind of fill in any of those little spots that we have. What I'm using is, it's a 3M DA, so dual action. It rotates and kind of oscillates type of thing. This is a pneumatic setup. And this particular one has vacuum, so it creates its own vacuum. And they do make bags that go to this, which I do have, but they're one-time use only. I thought they were something that you could go through and empty them out like you would a normal vacuum bag, but it fills itself and there's no way really to empty it. So I've decided to instead connect it to my extractor, to my big shop vac basically, and use that instead. It does a really, really good job of keeping the dust down, which before really hasn't been that big of an issue because we always have to clean up anyway. None of these systems are truly dustless. You still have to go through and wipe things down and stuff. So this one does probably the best job of that, of keeping the dust down, but yet it still is kind of a nasty process. So, but going through, and this is mostly just getting worked on the flats, so those flat surfaces, and I can still, even though there's a little bit of a curve here, I can still use it in this area, kind of to knock down. And the nice thing with this primer is where you haven't sanded or where you haven't touched stays this color here. Where you've sanded goes a little bit lighter, so you can see where the spots are, where the low spots are. So without even having to use a guide coat at all over this, I can see where all those little undulations are and the spots that actually need to get filled in later. Quite a bit. Quite a bit more showing than what I was hoping for. These surfaces still need quite a bit of work, so I am going to use a guide coat over the surface and then just use my longboard and go through and sand it. For this one, I'm going to spray one bulkhead with just black spray paint, nothing fancy there, and then the other one I'm going to use the dry guide coat that we have from Dura Blast, whatever the heck is the name of the company. So we'll give that a shot and see which one ends up working better for this scenario. Typically, the issue that I have with the spray paint is how long it takes for it to actually cure, even with a light spray. But we'll give it a shot, see what goes. Lots more left to do.
Back in the head now, it looks like a strangely colored Dalmatian of sorts because we've been taking the total fair there and just filling all of the very noticeable low spots that Matt came across when he was blocking using the guide coat. So I still have to do just a little bit there in the shower, but I've already gotten through and sanded some of these, working up there, and then hopefully tomorrow we can get another coat of primer on, which will really let us get a better idea of what's still necessary in these spots.
Give me your freedom. Whoa, yeah, me to pieces. Yeah, I need it. Want your pandemonium. Life is so easy. Whoa, you love me to pieces. Yeah, I need it. Want your pandemonium.